I can see how kids might sort of spend on, you know, individual artists for stuff that they really want, they love that artist, whatever. Spending on a music service for a kid doesn't seem like something that they would ever really kind of care about, does it really? I mean,
well, it's something, you know, I can't say where this has come from, but there's a UK ISP talking to some majors about adding a music service to the ISP, who are the only ones capable of actually controlling any file sharing anywhere realistically anyway. And with the caveat that if you take this music service, that you'll opt in to have file sharing sites blocked. So this is, kids do have a lot of money, but I think it comes from their parents quite a lot. I don't know, I had a paper route, I don't know if it happens as much anymore, but you get an allowance and you spend that and you have different sources of income. But I mean, certainly I think one of the best things that can happen for music, for it to disappear from the headlines. You know, it's like file sharing this, you know, it's happening with movies and other forms of digital content, but it always seems to be music that gets the headlines first and gets talked about the most. So I think for starters, if music starts to disappear and become just a normal part of much more compelling and ubiquitous services like ISP access, right? You need access to the internet, and we've talked about that a lot over the various years, but if it disappears into access and gets out of the headlines a bit and sort of just becomes part of that sort of package, I think you'll find that it'll become a lot much more wider spread and won't be, I think £10 for Spotify, I wouldn't pay it. And I think this has been borne out by the US market, where the prices have pretty quickly matured on the same services, and there's no free models there. And I don't think you're going to see what happened in Europe last, and I don't think it's ever going to happen anywhere else again. Certainly if you listen to Edgar Bronfman from Warner, who he has publicly denounced it completely several times. And the prices in the US are $5 US a month for web and $10 for web and mobile. And so that's, you know, at least 50% less than we're seeing here. And I do work with a couple of clients in that market in the US, and their uptake is certainly better, significantly better, although not as good as you might hope, than the 10% or so that Spotify's seeing converting to premium.
Well, I want to pick up on the ISP side. I mean, you know, there has been this bit. We've just published this report on the Danish service TDC Play, which was really successful. They offered a free music service. They gave the Danish music industry, they doubled the digital music business overnight in the terms of the amount of money that they gave the music industry. They took a big gamble and said, right, all of our customers can have free digital music. I mean, you download it and you wouldn't be able to sort of keep playing it if you didn't any longer subscribe to that broadband service. So effectively it was rental, but because it came with your ISP access, it doesn't feel like a rental model, and it was incredibly successful. You know, they kept
the country. You know,
yeah, I mean,
2.5 million people.
The stats are amazing. I think it's something like it's about sort of 50 downloads per head of the Danish population for that service. And then, you know, in the UK, we all got very excited when James's company went out and did a deal with Virgin Media and announced that there's going to be an unlimited MP3 service, the Holy Grail. You know, you get unlimited MP3s, but it never happened, and we have got a bit stalled, haven't we, with these ISP services? What's going on? Is it the nervousness with all the sort of legislation?
I don't know. I think there's a few things. It's funny because we're talking even about download services. It's like solving a last decade issue, you know. Now it's access. I can't think of the last time I was downloading songs. You know, if everyone raised their hand for YouTube, it's because they just listen when they want to listen. And I think we have to understand where we're moving that in 3 to 4 years' time, access to the internet over a mobile device will outtake access to the internet via computers. And that in this country, 4G trials are starting next year. And 4G service is 35 times faster than your average broadband speed in the UK. So that how all this is going to happen will be very different in 3 or 4 years from now. So to even talk about people downloading lots of music, whether it's MP3 or not, whether it's I don't know, it, you know, goes to the access model that you're speaking about, that, you know, moving forward, we absolutely get there. And I think that the biggest problem has been the music industry standing in the way of the progress.
Is it bash the label time?
I'll bash them.
You want to bash?
Well, no, I don't want to bash yet. No, I don't.
No,
But just to reinforce your point, Scott, like I was at an event recently, and there was a study by Icon saying what, in interviewing young consumers, sort of 14 to 24, what the best music experience that they encountered is, and I have to almost read it because it involves you. It's an HTC Desire, which is an Android handset, therefore plus the Android operating system, so it's touchscreen. On 3, the mobile carrier, which has a great unlimited package and some great, you know, it's value for money 3, and Spotify. So I mean, and that is the ultimate package. Now you amp up the speed on that, and it's only better, and so therefore you're seeing what tomorrow's music consumer is going to be after. It's on one of these for sure.
I mean,
And
10
faster,
years from
cheaper.
now, what
Why
we're
not just
discussing-
YouTube on there?
Well, indeed,
You know?
because the sound quality on YouTube is pretty poor. So if for those hardcore fans that, like you say, that like the golf fans, I know I get really angry when people play YouTube in my kitchen because the sound is so awful. But for the mass market, I think YouTube's really, really attractive, mainly because of access. You can just turn it on, you can find it, and you play it instantly, and that's the key. So I don't know if video on mobile is the right device to watch video so much, unless you're in the back of a car. But I do think it's definitely the device of the future, there's no question.